before we go ahead with that, even though it's listed under item B, there has been a request that this meeting be live streamed on YouTube. And if there is no objection to that, and maybe even if there is, I'd like to also note that we are being live streamed. And do you have any comments about that? All okay with that? Yes.
Will be saved to YouTube and like stored there, in addition to being.
Where it's going to be handled the same as the trust meetings, which I believe, I think, are.
So you're not currently on air because you have a discussion item about live streaming on your 2.1 agenda. So until you guys have that conversation, that's when that.
Okay, so we'll just come to that when it comes. We're not on it now. Okay.
Is it possible for us to bring that up to the top of the meeting before we hear public comment so that we can actually start live streaming now?
Let's see.
Yeah, I will, I think that's, Brandon, I think that's a good comment. So unless there's an objection, we'll change the order of the agenda and talk about the live streaming now before public comment. All okay?
You need a motion.
No objection to that. Okay? So,
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and then,
Second.
thanks.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Future meeting, which is what is on your agenda.
Got you, okay. From what you were saying, I thought you were saying that after it was discussed, then after that part of it, it'll be on, okay. Got you.
But I can text somebody and see if they got on there.
If it's feasible,
Okay.
that'd be fair for.
Was the intent of your motion that if we can do it now and turn it on?
Me, yeah, I mean.
Okay.
If so, then I'll let you know, and then if not,
Okay.
then it'll be for the next
Right.
meeting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If we decide to go ahead and say yes to live stream, does that mean every meeting will automatically then start with the live streaming?
Correct.
Every meeting going forward for this term?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Or there,
And would the vote include storing it on YouTube?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's what the trustee, how long do they store it?
I think it's in there indefinitely. I don't think they have any.
If it's Google,
doesn't
it's
have any
probably-
retention policies.
Okay. So any discussion on that? We went ahead and said yes, but is there any discussion about the implications of that? Some people will perhaps change their behavior and they're like the cameras, and we're all okay with that dynamic, okay? All right.
I like the
Great idea.
transparency, and maybe we'll engage more community involvement, interest, so it's a good thing.
Okay.
I do have a question. Is YouTube currently the designated channel for PCC's most of the public viewing?
That's correct.
And any reason that we've been using YouTube for that?
Because there is no cost associated with it, and most of the board of trustees meetings are there as well.
Have we looked into the privacy and statement from Google on YouTube? And Pasadena City College is okay with that, right?
That's correct.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak again. Having published an op-ed in Pasadena Now on February 19th, where I covered many issues with Measure PCC, I only have a few points to make here tonight. As the Oversight Committee, you get to decide if bond proceeds are being spent properly. What properly means is what the voters had in mind when they approved the bond measure in 2022. So let's look here. This is the flyer that was sent out to everybody who voted. It says fix deteriorating roofs, plumbing, and electrical systems, remove asbestos and lead pipes, retrofit older buildings to make them earthquake safe. We see that nowhere did they mention widespread demolition. This is a classic bait and switch, a false promise of frugal use of public money that morphs over to an extravagant, shiny new construction. Everybody can see it. We saw this at the last meeting. The grand total areas of spend. That's this sheet here. That says District plans to spend $204 million of the $565 million staff augmentation for project management and design. The actual cost to build these projects total $329 million. Please ask yourself, ask your architects, ask your own contractors, in what world would project management and design costs reach 62% of the construction cost? This mismanagement of public funds needs to be corrected and more detailed numbers provided in the form of an immediate audit which can pass the smell test. In 2010, the previous Oversight Committee for Bond Measure P produced this report, and that is the next page here you see here. Looking at the cost breakdown on the right-hand side, as you can see, the amounts budgeted in that report show the cost of construction management were $4 million, and the construction itself was $146 million. That works out to a reasonable rate of 2.7%, and these projects' costs already include design fees, if any. Why then does the 2022 bond have to cost 32% for its construction management? And why does bond measure PCC have to cost another 31% for architectural design as an entirely separate line item? Who's the designer? Gucci? Finally, at the last meeting, you asked VP for more information. Has it been provided? I recall you were still waiting for cost comparison to retrofit the W building with its three seismic remedies versus the complete demolition and reconstruction. Also, what about the full explanation of staff augmentation and why it costs 62% of the construction budget? Maybe our answers will come tonight.
Thank you. I'm going to come to the bond language, which is listed at the beginning of our agenda as charge to the committee. That's actually the bond language, a question that was answered yes or no on the ballot that you see there. And the charge to the committee is not actually that, but it's what's being passed around. And when we had our first meeting, the attorneys reviewed this, and you received this previously in your packet. But if you look at both sides of that, this is what came from Measure 39 in Prop 39 in year 2000, and thanks for erasing all my pencil marks on that, most of them anyway. And so the duties of the committee are here, if you want to keep those in front of you, as you've heard Jim Osterling's well-written comments and Mr. Jones's well-prepared remarks. Here's what we need to do, which is to carefully review the money and how it's being used, and to be sure that it's consistent with what was intended, and then to render an opinion on that, and we will at the end of the year do it. So that's actually the charge for the committee. Okay, let's turn now to the minutes of December 5th.
Public comment.
Pardon me?
Dr. Wolf, you have one more public comment.
Oh, excuse me, thank you. Melissa Michelson.
Yes, thank you very much. Hi there. My name is Melissa, and I'm a professor here at PCC. Here's my business card. Pass it around. My office and teaching space are in the W building, among other areas on campus. For the past 16 years, I've seen the W building teaming with swimming students, dance students, fencing students, salsa dance club, veterans center students, the beat club, and since the pandemic, it's missing its normal head count. In fact, every single building on campus is missing head count. Just walk through the C building midweek in the afternoon, and 60% of the classrooms are empty, including the L building, in fact. You know, I care about PCC, my colleagues. Coach Terry Stoddard is here. I care about them and my students. So I want decisions here made on sound evidence and transparent planning and decision making. So I have a few questions. On your areas of spend cover sheet that I saw at the last meeting, I saw monies earmarked for demolition of the W building, but not its reconstruction, which is in the bond language, to build an academic building on top of it. The voters voted on the project list in the bond, but if the college runs out of money, say to build the W building replacement, then what? That's question number one. Question number two, can this body conduct an audit to make sure the college will hold to their promises in the bond? Last time you talked about an audit, but the minutes don't really go into the details. So if you have the audio or video for that, maybe you could revisit that. Number three, where are the expense reports for the other tranches of money? You've only seen the first 133 million. Where's the rest? Because the college has not seen a detailed expense or budget report for the entire bond, just the summary page that measure PCC areas of spend, which is not adequate to instill confidence. Please provide more details on how the total bond money is being spent, because we had a problem with the U building in the past that ran out of money and sat for over 10 years when students could have continued to use that building. Question number four, how much is it to repair what needs to be repaired in the pool and the W compared to demolishing and rebuilding everything from the ground up? What about the cost to renovate the temporary spaces to accommodate the dance students who are now being displaced? Where's that money coming from? The Veterans Center was recently moved in there to the W. It feels like a waste, millions of dollars, if they're being demolished. Finally, at the last meeting, the student rep here asked for costs to retrofit W. Have you gotten it? Because it's not on board docs. Also, not online is today's expense report. So I don't know if it's different from last time or not, but I haven't been able to see it as a member of the public. A few months ago, VP Jones and Richard.
That's fine.
Okay, well, I have to go back later to my class, and I wish to watch the video if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as these questions come up, you'll see that on the agenda, when we get down to item D2, just before adjournment, we can propose additional agenda items. So I would invite each of you, as you hear these comments, and if you want to hear a report from the staff, or there's any other action we should do to help clarify questions that have been raised, if these are things in your mind.